Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us on the organization changes and its impact of the talent management. This is the discussion for today. And I'm gonna start with a few numbers to show you. Anyone don't know? I'm Waikin, the regional director of ICCA Asia Pacific. Anyone know about ICCA, or if you all don't know, ICCA is the International Congress and Convention Associations. We are the global community. That's also the knowledge hub of the international association industry. I know today some of you all may be coming from associations or maybe coming from the DMC, but I hope what we discuss today is actually relevant to all of you. And today we will have also two very experienced panelists who join us. So we have Kate, and then we have Corey. I'll introduce them later on and invite them to the panel. And what we wanted to do today is we hope everyone will join the discussions. We always talk about business event, and yesterday we talked about how we should recognize business event and what is the fast track of recovery. So the economic health of nations is really depending on the face-to-face meeting. That what we see today, that's what happening, that we should embrace what we have right now. And this is pre-pandemic, the GDP impact that we can see. But this is the 2017 report, whereby if you look at it, the total economic output for business event is actually 2.5 trillion. And how did Asia? Asia is the blue one, that we are actually on the third contributions to the global economy. And what happened during the pandemic? If you would see that we talk about the business shouldn't stop, and the business should be continuing on, like pandemic, or I would say the member engagement, the communications, the education shouldn't be restricted. We will still need to be interact, to be connected in any formats. Like you will see hybrid, you will see virtual, that we still get together because we are all in a human connection business, I would say. And then what's next? So right now, we talk about back to the economy recovery, where business events are needed to be more than ever, because we are the one essential reasons that the past COVID crisis will put economy society path towards to recovery. Why? Because we are the vehicle, we are the facilitator to put all the industry together. And that's also we'll discuss a lot more during the ICCA Congress in November at Cacao. So what is next? That we talk about the top 20 ranking from the ICCA Destination Performance Index. If you can see here, the top 20, that when we talk about the business still continue on, Asia is actually taking up 15% of overall, which is we stay number 2. What is these indications? The indications means that there is a lot of opportunities still. It's happening here. It's happening in our region. And now, that's what we were talking about. We actually contributed, we are the number 2. In the Europe agents, we have total about 4,225 meetings, but in Asia, the second place, we have about 1,004. Part of the reason why is that so many activity happening in Europe is because most of the association hub or the head office is actually in Europe. And they were the first to open up. in the region as well. And why I'm showing you all this? What is the association's revenue stream? We're still talking about meeting and exhibitions. That's the key revenue stream. And the indication to us again is the opportunity, the business lead for us. And the priorities, again, yesterday, Karen also asked about a question, what is next? What is the priority? Hybrid is still one of the solutions. And what about memberships and then how they want to design their event? Because now with the border open, people are coming back with more and more requests and demand. They want that to be together and get together. And here, this is an interesting survey outcome that's from the association meeting needs published in June from ICCA, whereby you can see how we can, as a conference provider, how we can help them. So number one, if you're looking at the top 5, basically will be hybrid events, and they want us to kind of like show them or guide them on the sustainable events, what is event technology, and then what are the health and survey, and also another one would be the marketing and communications. The current landscape right now, we talk about safety and security are still on the top, how we can ease the travel, and how we should, all the government will work together so that we'll have more international traveling. The marketing campaign by the Convention Bureau should be agile and flexible. We discussed that yesterday also. In-person meeting definitely lead the way. And digital, and this is not what we wanted to talk about today, and then how we can make use of the human capital right now to support and build legacy. And that's the expertise demand, and we talk about reskilling. Now there's one question I'm going to trade on the floor. Do you have similar experience or hear from your colleagues, industrial friend, that you have to turn down the business because you just lack of skill or manpower? Anyone like Kun Smith, you want to share from like Thailand perspective?
Hello, yes. Actually, we find that the last quarter of this year, we are overwhelmed with RFPs. And actually, they're materializing. So we have both existing business that we have to look after, and then also new RFPs for 2023 or 24. And now we even get RFPs for events that are happening this year already. And yes, we have been turning down requests. We decline and we say politely, with all due respect, we are unable to cope, you know. And actually, when you get a lot of requests, then you can sort of like pick and choose, not like before. Now a lot of organizers, they come to suppliers with a list of a la carte services, and they ask you to quote maybe 20 items on the list. They go shopping. So in the end, when we quote, then you say, okay, can you do 5 of these 20? Then you say, I'm sorry, we can't. It should be fair. It should be mutual respect with mutual understanding. You know, a win-win situation, not like you get 5, 6 suppliers for an event, and I think that makes it a confusing, work format for anybody. So, but yes, we've been overwhelmed with business, and we during the COVID, the past few years, a lot of our staff has had to look for other options in life.
Opportunity.
A lot of people actually turn out quite well, and they're happy with the freedom they get, and the uncertainty of MICE or tourism would prevent them to come back, you know.
But now it's actually proof the recovery. It's actually proof that our business events is actually being resistant and will be coming back. Right.
Sure.
Thank you. Do you think it will be a temporary issues or we need to resolve this?
I think the demand right now is unusual. It's because demand and the need to use the budget. But I believe next year and the year after it would not be of a similar scale because the economy is getting worse in many countries. But I hear that the war is going to end up before the end of this year. There is some movement to remove, the person up top. Yes. So the war will be over, but then the after effect of the war would still remain. So I think we should remain cautious and not be with the business right now.
Yes, definitely there is like opportunities, and then we need to also acknowledge some challenges. Thank you. Thank you, Gun Smriti. And next, I would like to invite our panelists today. We're going to talk a bit more on the organization changes and talent management. First, I would like to invite Kate on the floor. Kate actually have a very unique background. She was from the PCO background, and it's like a second generation, you were saying, on the PCO. And now she is also a lecturer that's supporting a lot of the talent developments that we bring here. And Kate also work and do a lot of support projects on the sustainability with TSAP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. สวัสดีค่ะ everyone. I'm Kate. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this important panel or discussion. If I need to add one thing to what you described about me, one of my, I would say, life accomplishment is once upon a time I was the most beautiful CMP in Thailand because I was the first one. But no longer the most beautiful. Now, some other women replaced my ranking already. But this is how I always introduce myself. Once upon a time, I was the most beautiful CMP.
You are still the most
in
beautiful.
Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. And the second panelist is our future leader. I would like to invite Kuri from Korean Mines Associations. Kuri is a really young manager and it's all the way from Korea. I would like to bring her up today is to share other side of the perspective in Korea, what's happening in Korea. The same time, also we bring in young or future leader to talk about what's going on and how we can kind of like work together in a different, I wouldn't say generations, it sounds so old, but in the workforce. That, yeah.
Right.
Do you want to add on a little bit?
Yes. Firstly, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having this opportunity, part of the young generation side. And I'd love to share some what's happening in Korea right now after we experiencing the pandemic. So yes, I'm working as an international coordinator at Korea Mines Association, almost like 10 years already. But yes, I am really still happy about my job and wanted to share my stories.
Thank you. And before we start, from the floor, I need you to do a little bit of exercise. Can I know how many of you are from destination marketing, like from the bureau? Anyone?
Does the noise come and go?
Or anyone from venue? PCO? Event management? Or DMC? Associations? I need you to put up your hand. Those are in the industry or already in the working years for more than 20 years? Anyone? Don't lie. More than 20 years. So we have a few. More than 10 years. I'm sure it's like, oh, more than 5 years? Just a few months old or less than 1 year? Good. We're going to start the discussion, and we wanted to hear your voice as well. If you have anything to add on our discussion, please feel free to raise up your hand. Then we'll talk about it. So the first questions that I'm going to start with Kate. As like you are coming from a very different background, just wanted to kind of like hear from you, where in your experience, right now we talk about organization change. What we need to change, is it people change the to force the organization change, or because of the environment?
Okay. When we talk about change, normally it's like the first reaction of human that we don't like change. We fear change. Yeah. But one of the things that I noticed most about recently within the organization, the change have to do with the generation gaps. Maybe because of my professional background as well as the perspective of being a teacher. Can you guys still hear me? Yeah? Okay. Just want to make sure. No? So one of the things that I think is within one office, maybe we're talking about people, different generations working together. Maybe we have somebody like you, a little bit over 30. Yes. You look very young. You might have new graduates. We might have intern students. And we might have the big boss who look like this. Or the big boss like Kun Sumet. The age variety within one organization is one of the issues as well, because how do we make people work together harmoniously? That's one of the issues that I tend to see a little bit. Now, I'm not saying all organizations go through that, but I think we all see that as well. No, other things are changing too, like environment in terms of our customers' expectation change. In the olden days, I remember going back and forth between the RFPs, the quotations, the inquiries. It could take weeks, it could take months. Nowadays, the client expects you to get that back to them within one night. So expectation from the market change, the staff change, the newer generations have a set of expectation that is very different than what we went through. No? So all these changes, you can say it drives the organization to make changes as well, because if the organizations don't change according to whatever is changing in the environment, then we have an issue here. So that's my view on the change, that we cannot escape change, but how do we work around the change and, live together happily in one piece?
Do you think the change is always happening, or because of the pandemic years to accelerate the whole thing?
I think it's a combination of many factors. The pandemic definitely put a spin on many things. Now, like earlier, I had 2 minutes to talk to Kun Sumet, and we talked about it, how some people leave the industry because they're forced to. A lot of people, they need to leave their jobs. And then some might make it into a new field of career. They found their passion. They put their passion to use. And then now they can make a living. They have no motivation to come back to the mice industry whatsoever. So that's I think that's the effect of COVID-19, among other things as well.
Thank you. And Corey, would you like to share a little bit on what's going on in Korea, or from your perspective?
For sure, I think pandemic affects our changes very quickly, because among our members, there are some key players we can pick, at least top 5 or top 10 members who organizing the event or host their own event like that. But during the 2 years, the key players are totally changed. So I can tell the changes first come from the CEO's perception of the digital transformation change. So some CEOs who admit the digital transformation for their format or business model, they are survive very well. So they got the top 1 or 2 ranking among the members. I'm not sure I can tell the members ranking as an association side, but we can for understanding better. But some CEO levels or CEOs are just be laid down and not accommodate the digital transformation, they are definitely struggling right now, even though we are now seeing the era of endemic. So I can tell the pandemic really accelerates the members or key players of MICE industry with the digitalized or not digitalized.
Thank you. It could be more than that. It could be on the business decision making
Yes.
factors that whether they go more on the resistance.
yes, right.
Thank you. And for Kate, we talk about what happening right now, the challenges, and I understand a lot of actually, Thailand has been setting up as a very good role model in education and provide support. Like from your side, you work a lot with the students together with, with TSEP and also TICA. Would you like to share a little bit more on what were the initiative or what are the initiatives right now that would be a support on the changes and how we can help the talents?
Right. Okay. When we talked about when COVID-19 hit us not so long ago, TSEP worked very hard, at least with the situation at hand, which is how to encourage people to meet safely. So they worked very closely with the Ministry of Public Health, with the Department of Disease Control, and all the government stakeholders and private parties, and they came out with a guideline, mice hygiene standard guideline. At that time, when TSEP came out with this document, in some countries they're still debating whether should mask wearing should be mandate or not. So that's an example of how, when there's a change, you need to react quickly. You need to respond quickly. And that's just one quick example of how, if you react quickly, then you kind of set the tone of the business into that direction. You create the perception that, hey, we can do things in a safe manner despite the situation at hand. So I think that's part of it. When we were going through the COVID-19, most, if not all, events were just either postponed or canceled. And I found myself to be having a lot of times on my hands because I didn't need to go to events anymore. There were no events to go to. No. And digital disruption or not digital disruption, it depends on how you look at things. To me, digital became very helpful tool for education. Even for somebody like me, I learned many courses online for free. And I didn't even have to leave my own home. So that's one of the things. And with that, to ask your questions, TSEP have many tools to help with either people with professional level or the students as well. Like as we're talking right now on the other side of this building, the students are meeting in another Future Leader Forum. So that's one of the programs that we have going on. In terms of professional development, there are many courses, there are many classes, certifications, standards that professionals can use that downtime per se to upgrade themselves, to learn new skills, to re-skills because the organization needs them to change. And without having all these tools to be available, they can react very confusingly. The boss may tell me, Kate, you need to learn new skills. We're cutting down on staff. You need to do more tasks. But if I have no resource to get more knowledge, that's quite difficult, isn't it? No? So all these body of knowledge that are available out there for professional improvements, even to lift up the whole industry, is very crucial. And somebody who's in charge of that realized the importance of it. As a teacher, I also learned a lot of things because I need to make sure that I don't make a fool out of myself. I'm telling them the truth. I'm telling them the best source of knowledge. So many opportunities for even teachers to upgrade ourselves and our abilities so we can transfer our knowledge, transfer our experience to the students in the most effective way. And when we talk about how students can be involved, that's another matter altogether.
Thank you. We'll talk about the student.
Major role of our association is educating our employees and also the students. But I can tell since pandemic, our education program has totally been changed, and our participants of the sessions are totally different too. So I got some like data for myself from Korea Mice Association that every month we are having the employee education session. But it used to be 100% offline because our employees wanted to do the practical way in on-site to networking and giving their opinions very freely. But right after the pandemic starts, everyone wanted to do the online live session. So we fully changed our whole program with every month. It's at 2 p.m. like every third Thursday, 2 p.m. we are doing the 100% online live session, and it durates only maximum 60 minutes because we cannot focus like more than 40 minutes for sure. So we don't want to get bored or get lazy. And I'm also doing that. They are listening to sessions while they are working at their own desk. So we don't want to get them bored again. So we totally change with the one online live session for the employee session monthly. And every time we got the research and survey from the participants that normally more than 70% prefer online live session even after the pandemic. So I think we are ghost for this session after we finally come out from the pandemic for sure. And the second thing is, KMA have been launched the Online Mice Institute, which is a website that we all put the on-demand sessions in the webpage since 2018 already. But the data shows that after 2020, like new members at the website is growing and growing. So we found out that the biggest number who registered as a new member in this year September, that more than 1,100 people as a newcomer. So that's the biggest number since 2018 as a newcomer. So it explains that not only for the employees, but all part of the industry player or students wanted to educate the on-demand session, and they are eager to be educated through the online sessions like that. So it's very meaningful data for us. So thankfully, our government will give more funding for upgrade this online institute that we can develop more modules and more sessions, which is more focusing on the digital mice and the every section of mice, MICE for sure, like past. And the other one is, we are newly organizing 100 offline practical education program specialized in the digital mice only. So there will be at least like 4 or 5 modules, and it lasts at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it's not an online session at all. All people have to be in the classroom, and they have their own laptop, and the courses will be like data. For example, you are using Google Analytics or SQL or Python program to see what that data means like that. And then we are doing some media technicians too. How to using live streaming tool, or how we communicate with the technicians like that. So that's the other one. And the mice media communicator, because we are used to do the online promoting and online SNS services, so we need to communicate with lots of media sections. and various media sections. So we put that. And also for sure, like augmented contents, for example, AR, verse, or the Zapato like that. So we are specialized launching the 100% offline digital mice program for sure. And around 500 people until recently, until like this August, they are graduate this program. So it's quite big number already.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
500 people. So all these like data I just explained shows that still we are struggling with the virus, but we are eager to be educated, and to educate the person who wanted to get a job in here or who wanted to just know about the mice industry like that. So yeah, this data shows that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see a lot of to get up to the capacity, like just how you mentioned about the hybrid, how you can actually provide a more kind of like education or skill set to the industry to be ready and provide options to the client face to face or also hybrid that you
Yes.
provide those educations. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Kate, we like to, can you share about like, we talk about all this, right? What do you see about the great resignations?
Well, part of it is you have to look at the cause why people leave in drove. One of it due to the pandemic, that's for sure. Maybe another aspect of it is because of personal reasons. Nowadays, I think people put more value into work-life balance. And in the olden days, I mean, if you pay me, but nowadays maybe that is not quite 100% true anymore. So maybe organizations need to look at themselves, how the business is operated, and is it conducive to the needs and to the wishes of the staff as well. I think maybe that's part of it. Alternative source of staff, maybe that's another, I don't want to call it solution, but maybe another option. Time workers, contract workers, students, part-time students, volunteers, or even retired people from certain, maybe the opportunity. My voice keep on and off. Is it that too? Okay, for me, maybe it's my receiver as well. I'm not sure. So several solutions that could be implemented, and some of these solutions, maybe it has to do with networking, like in the hotel industry for the longest time, when they have big events. Well, obviously the F&B departments do not carry thousands and thousands of staff, but they can find temporary staff. How do we find temporary staff? Well, you can partner up with education institutions around the hotel. So they can be, extra staff, extra casual staff. They get paid by the day. They do the job. They get part of the training from the hotel as well. And maybe they learn a thing or two. It could spark the inspiration. So new sources of staff could be put into consideration. And don't forget about the existing staff. If you add new skills to them, if they can become multi-skilled workers who have great value to the company, maybe that's how extra training, extra body of knowledge that the CVBs. You talked about how the CVBs, how the associations work together to offer different kind of classes. We do see that a lot here as well on different levels. On international levels, like TCEP do bring in many of the international certification courses. Actually, here in Thailand, we have very high number of MICE professionals who are certified by the international certifications. We do have our own local certifications and certified courses as well, in the thousands, not in the hundreds, in terms of the people who have obtained and gone through these trainings also. We have industry standards that uplift the quality of the whole MICE industry. No? All these initiatives take a lot of work and takes a lot of cooperation with different stakeholders. So I think by expanding the ability of our existing workforce, as well as bring in alternative sources of quality workforce, could be part of the solution to your question.
Thank you. Thank you. By looking at the external environment, I would like to ask you, Corey, about like, what do you think? How you motivate yourself or your colleagues? Because we talk about like long hours just now. What is business event about? And how you motivate yourself to stay in the industry? That's number one, or keep going on. Why? Number one. Number two is like, do you agree a more senior person or your bosses or your colleagues would be a mirror of yourself?
Okay. So for me, luckily, we have a small staff in Korea MISO Association. We have only like 7 full-time job and 4 internship young people, like age late 20s, like that. But we are very small group that we can communicate very actively and in person with a live way. So every weekly meeting, we have a whole staff come together at the meeting room, and we are sharing what we have to do in their own businesses, because we are the small group, but each one of them are project manager according to their own project, so they have a big responsibility for sure. So sometimes it burdens even though on newcomers, for the newcomers for sure. But when you get the big responsibility, you can access to all process when they do the project. So every mini step like motivates me because it's challenging. It's not bored at all. Every situation or every event has their own different style and different challenges or different stories. So we can learn from them in a real way. So that really motivates us. And when some bigger group or some like middle-sized group, sometimes my opinion like goes to trash. Can I say like go to trash, because so many opinions, or we can't take all people's opinions, but we are small that every people's small ideas or just popping up ideas can make the idea for the new sessions or new programs like that. So we try to give the young leaders also bring your voices as much as you can, and we will never go your ideas to the trash for sure, because we are experiencing them for when we are your side. So that kind of small ideas about opening mind is motivates me. And for the second
Question.
yes, so mirroring. It's my personal story, but luckily our Secretary General is like a mentor or good ideal type in our industry, whom I really wanted to be in his age. He's like only 50 years old, but he always educated, and every morning he goes to some lectures in the morning classes and learn about some things, and he didn't talk like old people. He just he just sharing his own thoughts, and he's sharing the contents of the presentation file for ourselves, and then we have a time to just have a chit chat to what do you think? I think like this way, and what's your opinions like that? So luckily to have a mentor or idea type in my office is really lucky. But we talked during this breakfast meeting that some young people like mirroring, when they start mirroring their seniors, they wanted to quit the jobs. It's a sad story, but sometimes it happens because I haven't experienced working as an internship at PCO, and our industry is bunch of women's, and I in that time, I was really early ages of 20, like only 23 or 24. I love my job and I love what I'm doing, but when I see the next people, next to women or next to senior level women are struggling with the hospitals or like red eyes always and cannot go to the house or always late work and they are sometimes giving up their marriage or sometimes they are giving up the love life like that. So I don't want to be that woman when I'm coming that ages like that. So in that time, I'm mirroring with them, and thinking I start having a new job. I start googling a new job, not in the PCO section. So yeah, I'm lucky, but mirroring is necessary, but it depends on their own situation. Yeah.
Thank you. Like, or the organization
Yes,
culture on
yes.
how we can mentor and provide the feedback. You are in the associations, it could be a different setup. I'm going to
Yes.
come back to you when you're in PCO. Event planner, and it's more on the, we talk about the bottom line is money generating.
Yes.
Everyone is so busy. What do you see on the mirroring sides? Like how both, I would say like a mentor, senior manager to coach, or the other way around.
The first one, again, related to my personal story. My mom is a PCO. So I started working with her, started working for her since I was very young, like 13 years old. That's when I started my first job and get paid for the first time. I refuse to work as a PCO. I told my mom from the very young age that I'm not going to take over your business. Don't expect me to be in this line of work. I will do part-time work for you, but don't expect me to be, the owner of the company or to be the PCO one day. But because I see how she worked, I know that I was raised by a nanny. My sister was raised by a nanny. She works all the time. But on the other hand, I somehow found myself being drawn into the world of the PCO. And I got a job, not with my mom. My mom said, I couldn't afford you, Kate, so you go find somewhere else to work where they can pay you. And from that negative mirroring image, I could understand her when I experienced it myself, that there's a sense of fulfillment that is among other jobs that I have been involved with. It's different. It's a sense of accomplishment. When I work so hard for the past 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden I see 5,000 people, 6,000 people walk around in the convention center, and it's because of all my blood, sweat, and tears. So that is a positive mirroring, a self-reflection, and reflection on my own mom, who's my mentor as well. So that is, in one sense, it's working like that. No? And if we lead it to the new generation, when they see the big boss working half to death, they already make up their mind that I don't want to be like that person. So asking me, is it the environment that need to change? Or is it the organization that have to change? Or is it the boss that should consider some of the changes to be instilled in the organization in order to motivate your staff, in order to motivate the workforce, in order to bring the workforce into this business? I leave this question very open-ended. You figure it yourself. Every situation is different, but do you want to set a good mirror image, or you want to be that negative mirror image that shines people away from this industry? It's a very tough point of view, in my own opinion. No, because you might be used to doing things for the past 20, 30 years, and it's okay that you stay in the office until 10 o'clock every night. But to the new generation, they want more than that. They want more than that. And you need to figure out, what exactly do you want? What exactly do they want, actually, to keep them?
What do they
What
want?
do they want?
What do they want? Like you working with the younger generation. I'm not saying about the generation gap, because every one of us went through that. we have our seniors and things like we see and we learn along the way. It's more about like right now, it seems like a hit topic about like, how can we be together and work together? Because I heard a lot of like students don't want to get a job. They want to be their own boss. They want to be a YouTuber. They wanted to I mean, that's also part of the environment change, and that's something that we are facing right now. That's the fact. Like, what is their mindset right now?
Well, now they have options, that's for sure.
More options.
More
yes.
options, as easily accessible options. Like the options that they can stay home and be a YouTuber and make like much more money than I can make. And it's a very easy life. But on the other hand, you have to look at the essence of what kids nowadays they want. For me, talking to some professors as well as some of my students, I think the opinion leads towards one direction is the new generation nowadays, when they work, they want to be heard. They want their opinions to be valued, like the ideas. They don't like to see their ideas going to be thrown in the trash, even though the idea could be small. But hey, I have an opinion. You should listen to me. They also like to explore. For me, we grew up with the SOP. When we join a new office, somebody come and tell us, okay, this is what you do, 1, 2, 3, 4. You follow this step, you're going to be the big boss one day. That's how the organization ladder used to work. But nowadays, kids, they don't like that. They don't like to be told. They like to explore. They like to figure things out by themselves. But if you put yourself in that picture, your business might be in jeopardy if you allow your new staff, the younger generation, to make mistakes. Again, going back to your earlier statement, how do we live together harmoniously? We have to find somewhere in the middle. Let them explore. Let them use their energy. Let them be creative. While I think the best situation is you step back a little bit. You allow them that room to grow, but be available for help if they ask. Don't cloud over them. Don't tell them this is what you need to do. This is that is what you need to do. But let them figure out. Allow them to make smaller mistakes. So one day, they don't end up making big mistakes. They learn by themselves. They don't trust us. They don't even trust their own parents. So why would they trust us in the office? So you have to understand them. I think if you understand them, where they're coming from, they grew up very different than how I grew up. I grew up very different than how you grew up. My parents grew up very different than how I grew up. So you need to understand them as well. This is what they want. They want to be heard. They want to be valued. They want to be part of, like, giving them a lot of responsibility. I heard you said a lot of responsibilities. Surprisingly, they like to be given with tasks. They like to take ownership of a task. And then they want to finish it because it gives them a sense of accomplishment and they feel like they're being valued as a member of the organization. I think if we understand that, look at them from the sympathetic point of view that, hey, I understand you. As a boss, I'm going to have to bite my tongue a little bit and minimize the yelling. Leave them some room to explore. Leave them open up their world a little bit so they can experience it by themselves, but don't just let them go out into the open sea in the middle of the storm. Still as the business owner, still as the boss, still as the CEO of a company, you have the final say. If you know that this person is going down the wrong direction, maybe there's a limit that you need to set. And always have an open door policy. I think your office, like how you always have your normal get together 2 p.m. I think that's excellent. Like a nice ritual, so people can have the opportunity to share and to grow together. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. And that's something that I learned from the early childhood development. Freedom with control. It's like the bosses and we are also learning, the senior manager, but yes, we allow certain freedom, but I think it's like all of us learning from each other. It's like, yeah, that I would say on the changes right now on the environment. It's like freedom and control.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Sounds
then,
a little bit
yes,
contrast,
Yes.
but it can be accomplished.
because there is a lot of decisions, business decisions making from the bosses and to look at. But you can't give 100% freedom. Like you say, it could be a jeopardize. And the experience need to be built, but how we can guide. Yeah. Thank you very much on
Thank
that.
you.
And so I think we are running out of time. I hope we have a good discussion. Before we go, that's the first exercise we talk about. I think we have Kuri share a little bit of young generations or I would say the future leader, what their thoughts about, like from our side, perhaps an exercise to ask ourselves as a senior or as a mentor, as a coach, or as an employer or as an employer ourselves, how we can kind of like motivate ourselves, motivate our colleagues, and how we can kind of like provide the right, I would say, the directions or the image and sharing with the skill staff to retain the colleagues, like how we work together. And second exercise, we talk about attracting skilled talents, where to look and how we can fill the gaps. There are many opportunities. Just now we talk about universities, right? We talk about maybe can look at breaking down into a different way on skill or supports, like where to look for the people. I'm sure, like yesterday, I think we have also a discussions on where to look for the people or supports. And networking will be one of good sites. Share it out. Yeah? Thank you so much. Can I ask, is anyone from the floor would like to share anything or
Right.
experience? Karen?
Yep. I don't have experience to share, but I have a question though. You know, you spoke about how you need to give space for the young ones to learn and to make mistakes, right? But in the space of meetings and events now, we're in such a rush to get, things done. How much flexibility do you really think the bosses have to allow staff to make mistakes along the way while still, getting the RFP out within the day, for example, Because even in the editorial team here, we are moving so fast. Yesterday on stage, I said somebody hit the fast forward button without even warning us, right? And it's like we're just flying forward. There's really no time to explain why these things have to be done this way. Just do it first, and then I'll explain it when we have a bit of a breather later.
Well, again, I'm removing my PCO hat. I'm looking at things from education point of view. At least for students who go through formal education, let's say in college or in university, what we do now is we give them assignment-based learning, and that's how they can make mistakes, but then don't screw up that much, so to speak. At least for my own class and many of the professors that I know, we bring in professionals. We invite people like Kun Sumet from the venue sectors, from the exhibition sectors, and we ask them not to talk about the textbooks, but we ask them to talk about the real world, how things are actually doing, how things are done in the real world. And then at the end of the semester, maybe we have like a final project. Before the project presentation, we have consultation with different professors, so they can look at things from different perspectives. Now, when they hear from the professionals, they have a little bit of a more realistic point of view, what it's like outside of this nice university fence, within the fence. So they have a little bit of the impression of what it is, the expectation outside, and they know that they can still make a little bit mistakes along the way, along the different 2 years or 4 years of education. Hopefully they don't make the same mistakes, and they get the idea of how to use their own judgment that, hey, this is the time I need help. They have a little bit of intuition that, hey, this is beyond my level. Maybe I should talk to the boss. Maybe I should talk to my supervisor. But then if you think about it, you're the supervisor. You better be there. to offer, to give the help, to give the support. But I totally understand with your point of view where the client needed yesterday. They asked for it today, but it seems like they needed it yesterday. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation as well. Now, hopefully, through the formal education system, as well as through professional trainings also, that through different types of resources, they can get to see the best practice in a less structured way, and then they can implement those things. To go back to your initial question, where do we draw the line? Maybe the severity of damage. I would say, very realistically, severity of damage. I mean, if this is a small job, we're not talking about a very picky client. Maybe they have a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Anything you share?
I think I totally agree about Kate's opinion, but in my opinion, please don't make the office environment too serious, because when even though some like young levels or newcomers feels like they are in trouble, but when the environment is too heavy or too like how can I say old style, they cannot speak up. But the timing is really important for our job, that when they notice some mistakes or when they notice some accident, they have to speak up right now. But because when they tell, somebody can help or somebody can solve the problem. But if the like environment is too heavy, they cannot tell, and it makes the situation worse. Because we miss the timing. So I think first making the environment very casual and a friendship-ish way between the coworkers is one of the important thing.
Thank you.
The blame culture, right? Not to have a very strong blame culture, then people will not dare.
For my personal experience, like you say, I think many of us that we are the backup, that I already kind of like have some scenario plan. If the person make mistake, I need to make sure whatever that I provide the freedom that I could cover up.
Recovery.
Recover to kind of like work and keep on asking. I think a good briefing is very important on to guide her what are directions to think about, and then constantly get them to, like you said just now, overnight thing. But you won't throw a new things to a new staff. But the guides on briefing on what you need to do next. What are the consequences? So we usually will talk about the impact and consequence. If what is happening, then they will come and talk to us. Yeah. But yes, sometimes we may, my experience, I have to work extra hours just to provide the freedom. But that's something that they learn. Seriously. And I learned that way too. Yeah. Thank you. Everyone's and any other feedback or any sharing? If not, then we're going to close the sessions. I think the next sessions will be coming on. Just to kind of like share a little bit. We talk about all skill, and then yesterday we talk about if anyone interested in the ICCA skill certifications program, please contact ICCA on that. And this is on the upskilling, and we're looking at 7 modules with the online, offline certifications for the new entry professionals and also like the experience. And the next one would like to thank you of all of y'all to be part of the business event management sector. Fast track on the economy, and then in somehow that we should be recognized and be proud of what we are doing. Would like to also welcome everybody to join us as the ICCA Congress on the 6th to 9th November. That's in Poland. Yeah, anyone's like would be interested, like please come to me or contact ICCA. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you all have a good evening.
You.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Corey.